Good morning, class. This is Karuna Deshmukh from the Department of English of Bahirji Smarak Mahavidyalaya, Basmat, which is affiliated to Swami Ramananda Tirtha Marathwada University, Nanded. I welcome all of you to your 5th semester, and the paper I deal with is Literary Criticism 1. The paper code is DSE English 1, as you see on the screen. This paper has 75 marks, which are divided into the end semester exams for 50 and continuous assessment, which will be 2 unit tests and a project, which is for 25 marks. And this total of 75 marks gives you 3 credits, because 25 marks is equal to 1 credit. So this is Literary Criticism 1, and here are the objectives of this paper. The first is to introduce the concept and significance of literary criticism in literary studies. There are 2 terms here, phrases here: literary studies, that is the study of literature. It may be the study of a poem or a drama or a short story or a novel, and that study is known as the literary study, literary studies. And of course, this is for the students and scholars of literature, in this case English literature. And the next concept, the next phrase here is literary criticism. Literary criticism is the criticism of literature. What is criticism? Criticism is evaluation. Criticism is assessment. Criticism is the thorough study with the help of some thoughts, some principles laid by the well-known critics. And in case of English literature, these norms or these criteria, these rules are laid by the Greek and Roman critics, especially the philosophers like Plato and Aristotle and Horace, Longinus, and so on. So this paper is to introduce the concept and significance of literary criticism in the study of literature. That is the first objective. The second concept, the second objective is to acquaint, that is to introduce or to make familiar with something, to acquaint the learners to the classical and Renaissance tradition of Western literary criticism. So here is an opportunity for you learners to study Western literary criticism. We are the Eastern people. We live in the east side of the globe, whereas Europe and America, they are there at the western side. So what happened there in the field of literary and critical studies, right from the ancient times? So here is an opportunity for all of us to study the Western literary criticism, and in that the classical as well as Renaissance tradition of that Western literary criticism. Now, what is this classical tradition? Classical means real classical, actually its meaning, its simple plain meaning is of highest quality, and whatever was and is highest of highest quality, the best in literary criticism, that comes from Greek and Roman culture, because these were the greatest civilizations. So far we honor these civilizations as the greatest of the world civilizations, that is the Greek civilization and the Roman civilization, and whatever belong to those civilizations, literature, criticism, architecture, etc., all the arts, philosophy, the political system. So that is considered as the best, and in that sense it is known as the classical. So here we have an opportunity. This paper is specially designed to acquaint the learners to the classical Western literary criticism. The next term here used is Renaissance. Renaissance is the age of, it is the revival of knowledge. It is the enlightenment period regarding the classical traditions, and during the end of the 15th century and during the 16th century, with the fall of Constantinople, with the fall of the Roman Empire, this Renaissance began, because whatever scholars, philosophers, poets, painters, artists, writers were there within the Roman Empire, that is of highest quality, the best quality. Due to the fall of the Roman Empire, they spread all over Europe, and wherever in need of shelter, in search of patronage. Patronage is the support of the monarchy or the support of the government or the state for the artists. That is known as patronage. So in search of patronage, these artists, they scattered all over, they ran away, they went all over Europe, and wherever they went, they took with them their knowledge, their art, their literature, and many things. And there started a period which is known as the Renaissance, that is the rebirth of knowledge, the revival of knowledge belonging to the classical Greco-Roman civilization, classical Greco-Roman traditions. So here we are introduced to the classical and Renaissance tradition of Western literary criticism. The third major objective is to familiarize the learners with the major contribution of select critics. So some critics, here are those critics. So these critics are selected: Plato, Aristotle, Horace Quintilian, Longinus, Tate, Sir Philip Sidney, Ben Jonson, John Dryden, and Joseph Addison. So here we have to study the major contribution of these critics, select critics. The second part here is the intended outcome. What will be the result? What will be our achievement by studying this paper? Number one is learners will be able to understand the historical background of the canon of Western literary criticism. Canon, the collection, the whole of the thoughts of the critics belonging to the Western tradition. So here is an opportunity for all of us to understand the historical background in which those critics developed, and they expressed their views and they laid down their rules for the study of literature, which is known as literary criticism. So in the beginning, you should keep in mind in a very simple way, what is criticism, literary criticism? It is the evaluation, it is the assessment of literature with the help of some critical insight, with the help of some views laid by rules laid by the critics. Learners will appreciate the various theories developed during the classical times and European Renaissance. Now, there comes another important term in this outcome, that is theory. So, in a very simple way, you know what theory is. Okay, Siddhanta. So, here it is the theory of literature. There are rules, there are some principles, there are some thoughts, and they are combined to look at, to study a particular thing. So that is a theory. There is some hypothesis is there, there are some observations made, and there are some conclusions are there. So that is the theory. So what kind of theory was there in classical time? For example, there was the mimetic theory, that is, art is imitation. Art is the imitation of the reality. Art is the copy of the reality. So this is known as the mimetic theory. So this is one example. So and in during Renaissance, what kind of theory was there behind this literary criticism, that we have to study. So this will be the outcome. The third outcome, intended outcome, will be is learners will be sensitized to the foundations of different critical traditions. So there are different critical traditions are there. Schools of literary criticism are there. For example, what Plato says, what Aristotle says, and there are the followers, the scholars in future times after them, their successor, they followed either Plato or Aristotle or Longinus. So these are the different critical traditions led by a major figure like Plato or Aristotle. So that we have to that we will get to know during the study of this paper. Now, as said earlier, here are 5 modules or units. The first module or unit consists of Plato and Aristotle. The second, Horace and Quintilian. Third, Longinus and Dante. Fourth, Sir Philip Sidney and Ben Jonson. And the fifth module consists of John Triton and Joseph Addison. So here is a combination of the classical as well as the European Renaissance traditions of English literary criticism. The prescribed textbook is An Introduction to English Criticism, which is written by B. Prasad. And this book covers all these topics. There will be, as far as the continuous internal evaluation is concerned, which has 25 marks. There are class tests or mid-semester exam of 10 marks, plus tutorial or project or viva of 15 marks. So total 25 marks. and there is the end semester exam of 50 marks, that is 2 credits for end semester exam and 1 credit for the continuous assessment in the form of test and project or tutorial, etc. And let us hope that this online mode will come to an end soon, and we will be face to face in the classrooms. And then if everything goes normal, we may have the offline examinations, the written examination, descriptive type of examination will be there. And in that case, here is the question paper pattern. Question 1 will be essay type question with internal choice from unit 1, that is either there will be a question on Plato or Aristotle, like that, and it carries 10 marks. Second question will be asked related to the second unit, that is Horace or Quintilian. The third question, of course, all these questions will be essay type, descriptive answer type of questions, and the third question will depend upon the third unit or module, that is Longinus and Dante. The fourth question will be related to Sir Philip Sidney or Bain Johnson, and there is essay type question with internal choice from unit 5, that is the fifth question, that will be related to either John Dryden or Joseph Addison, and all these questions, they carry 10 marks each. So here are the distribution of marks, that is 50 marks into 5 questions. So this is in brief your introduction to this very important paper of your 5th semester, that is literary criticism. Tomorrow onwards I will discuss all these critics one by one. Thank you.